From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. What's up, guys? I'm Rob Whiteside. This is ParksCenter. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday night. And with us tonight is Allison.
Good evening, everyone.
Jill.
Hello.
Kamila.
Hi, everyone.
And Tyler Mann.
I gotta say it. Sivako, everybody.
You gotta say it, man. You're in the spot. Plus, you always like to steal it from him anyway, so that's all good anyway.
Oh, I do. I so do.
Yes, that's fine. It's fine. So tonight we got a lot of stuff to talk about. First thing I don't really want to talk about it, but California. Like, what's up, California? They're closed. It feels like it's going to be sort of a thing that's happening all over the place as COVID spikes. But California closed up a bunch of stuff. They hadn't opened everything like we have in Florida. They closed up a bunch of stuff. And at the last minute, they actually canceled the opening of the DVC hotel. And I feel sorry for Tom. Not really. And then on top of that, now they can't serve food anymore. They went to all this trouble to open up Buena Vista Street so that they could serve food in more places, and now they can't serve food anymore. So I want to throw this to Allison first, because obviously you probably wouldn't be out there anyway if they were still selling food, right?
Nope, certainly not. And things are clearly bad nationally, so like we've got to get the numbers down so that hospital capacity doesn't exceed what we can handle and all the things. And so it's really unfortunate, but everything I was reading about California is like they just really had no choice, especially in those counties like Orange County, anything close to there. LA is a mess. A lot of my colleagues are working out there and they're shut down. But yeah, for me, my life is exactly the same as it was in March. So I just feel bad for people like Rob. Kamila, did you have any clients that were heading out there that had to cancel trips?
You know what's interesting is I actually had a lot of clients who kept reaching out wanting to book a Disneyland vacation who didn't even realize that Disneyland wasn't open. So I think there's quite a few people who thought because Disney World is open, Disneyland would also be open. But I mean, I really feel for the cast members who I think are the people who are most impacted by a change like this. But I also, I agree with you, Allison. Like, I just feel like it's such an impossible decision. Nobody wants it to be this way, but I think we're trying to keep people safe. We're trying to keep people alive. And California is massive. I think people often like to forget that what a large state that really is. I mean, just LA County alone is, I think it's well over 10 million people. So it's larger than a lot of states are. And so, you know, things could spiral out of control very quickly there. And so I feel for Disney. I really do feel like they have been doing a lot of the right things. I can tell in speaking with them often, they are trying their best to keep people safe, and they take this extremely seriously. But I just think this one was out of their hands. And so thoughts go out to the people who are dealing with COVID, who know someone who's dealing with COVID, and then also certainly the people who are impacted because their business or their job has been taken from it. It's just an impossible and devastating situation all around.
Yeah, I was, so randomly, Jason was here at my house, and he was helping me. He's been helping me because he's the best brother ever with a home renovation project. And so him and his older daughter were here and they're helping me. And all of a sudden his phone rings, and I knew it was Tom because there's a special ring for Tom, surprisingly. I don't know if that's in mourning or what. But he picks up the phone, and within like 10 seconds, I realized that what is going down in this, because I can hear Tom. Like, I can't hear what he's saying, but he's obviously like agitated. And I realized within about 10 seconds, because they were supposed to leave for Disneyland. This was Friday evening, and they were supposed to leave Saturday late afternoon. And so I realized that what's happening is they were just alerted to the fact that the Grand Californian is not reopening and is canceling all reservations. So it was like I was a witness to this going down for guests who had a DVC reservation booked at Disneyland. And for a minute they were, talking about, do we still go anyway and just stay somewhere else, because they wanted to go check out Buena Vista Street. And they opted not to in the moment of that conversation. And it took not long after that for us to learn about the dining establishment shutting down, and the fact that, okay, even if you were there, you can't go eat anywhere. You would go get takeout and take it back to your hotel room. But what's, all of a sudden it's already, a pretty, stripped down version of a trip to Disneyland. But then you take not even being able to have eat anything at downtown Disney or at Buena Vista Street, and suddenly it's kind of like, oh well, there's no real point then. But yeah, it's totally supporting what Kamila said, that I think the worst is for those cast members, people who have it obviously, but also for the cast members, because we've already seen cast members take such a hard hit in terms of job loss from this. And now it's Disney was at least trying to find ways to allow some establishments to be open and get cast members back to work. And now that's being scaled back all over again.
Yeah. Now, and as much as I've been whining about wanting to get back to Disneyland, I mean, there are a lot of people who had jobs and all of a sudden now they don't. And that's very sad. But at the same time, it's scary how quickly COVID seems to be spiking all over the place again. And I don't know if it's because everybody's like, oh, there's a vaccine coming soon. I can get out and party a little bit, no problem, because the vaccine's coming anytime, or if it's something else, but it just seems to be getting out of control. And at the holidays, not a good time for that to happen. So switching to something that we are very hopeful about, and I'm not going to lie, this was probably a little bit of clickbait about Figment. I mean, there was some talk with Tony Baxter about the fact that he is, well behind the idea of bringing back Journey into Imagination in its original form with the Dreamfinder. I mean, what does he want? We've already got this cool Figment sweater. Does he really think that it needs anything more than that?
Oh my!
That makes it all better.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard Tom talk about this. I worked this attraction, loved this original attraction. It was amazing. I hate that it's not what it was. I hate that the generations now don't see what it was back in the day. If you watch our Back to the Future about it, that Tom did, it's pretty amazing how ahead of its time this attraction was, and to see it come back into some form like this would be fantastic. He's also kind of hinted at the idea that he'd love to see a Figment movie come to light. I think all of us are very passionate about Figment in general, but because you're wearing the shirt, Tyler, I'm going to throw this one to you first. That's how you win this. You won it because of the shirt.
I just think it's ridiculous that it wasn't the first thing they did for their Epcot revitalization or for the 50th of Disney World is to be like, oh, they made a conscious choice that this version of Figment we have right now is fine for another couple years, even though it was the most worked on thing that we just had to rush out because no one liked the one we made the year before it. And then Tony Baxter has said something, he's like, I would love to do a movie. And it's like, yeah, I have these ready because I complained before we started. It's right here. Here's your movie. 2 full-length comic books that Jim Zub wrote. It's a movie. It's 2 movies, essentially, or 4 really long TV episodes. You don't have to. And then Tony Baxter is like, let's kickstart it. I'm like, Disney has billions of dollars. They're sinking into all these other things. You couldn't give a couple million to this major franchise of one of your bigger theme parks?
Look, they're busy trying to do a live action Lilo and Stitch, man. Come on. There are priorities out here.
No one should ever give money to a Kickstarter for something that is run by the Walt Disney Company. Just the idea of that, there are places you can give your money to help people that are starving or suffer otherwise disadvantaged, and you're going to give your money to $1 billion company is insane to me. I don't know, Disney. Okay, look, you have a streaming service where you can put content. take Jim Zub, take new content, make a Figment cartoon. Why will you, like, you have a platform, you have lots of creative people that you're laying off. Give them work and have them make a Figment, like some sort of, I personally would love a serial cartoon. I don't necessarily want a movie, I want a serial cartoon. It can be like a consistent story arc in the movie, but it's stupid that you have this IP that everybody loves so much and you're not, and you have a streaming platform to put content out there and you're not taking advantage. Like, literally put 2 and 2 together, people. Come on.
But here's the thing that Tony Baxter is really good about, though. He's really good at generating buzz and maybe making something happen. Like, one of the origin stories that's told, and whether it's true, whether it's lore, I'm not sure, but the story is that Tony Baxter just went around being like, hear about that Splash Mountain project? You're like, heard about that Splash Mountain project? And before you knew it, like, all these people above him at WDI were talking about the Splash Mountain project, and that's like how it came about. Now, I don't know if that's like the actual origin story or if it became lore and like he's just like playing on that, but that's what it feels like to me. So, like, he's like, I don't know, maybe they're thinking about this. Also, maybe a movie. Come on, guys. And he wants us to talk about it, and so we should all talk about it. And so Disney's talking about
we're
it.
Doing that.
They understand that there is a desire to have Figment actually take his rightful place as the mascot of the park as it was originally intended to be.
Yeah, exactly. You know, though, here's the problem is ever since Jill said a Figment cartoon cereal, all I'm thinking is there should be Figment cereal. I'd buy it. I would love a bowl of Figment cereal right now.
Figment marshmallows.
They like
Figment head-shaped marshmallows.
Dreamfinder
like
marshmallow.
Figmos.
Yeah.
So,
We can do a collab.
Always after my dreamy charm.
Anyway, so turning to this castle. So there's this castle, see, and it's, we talked about this before the show, and I'm just going to say Erebus Brothers. I feel like that's correct, but maybe it's not. Come at me. So there's this Erebus Brothers castle that is for sale, and you can go ahead and buy one, and the price tag on it is $49,500 and, you know, tax. So
let me just sell my house.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of crazy, but it also says that once this castle is sold, it wouldn't be replaced. I assume that's because the castle has changed its colors. It doesn't look like this anymore, so they probably need to put out a whole bunch of other ones that you know, before it's discontinued. So they've raised the price of this.
Pink.
They didn't just raise the price of this a little bit. It jumped up $12,000. Like, it jumped up $12,000. But as reading through this article, the one thing that really shocked me was that, like, others of this have sold. People have bought this. Who walks into Disney World and says, you know what I'm going to get? This is just like, this looks great. Let me go ahead and pick this up. I'm just shocked.
Tom Corliss.
He bought 3. He's got 3. One
It'll
to play with, 1 to keep in the package, and 1 just in case. He's got 3. He's all set. So
I know people who spend that amount-ish on a wedding dress that is worn once, and so at least you get to look at this in your home. I can't really imagine this, but I guess there is a demographic that can buy this, and that's why there's like one at a time, because it's not every customer. It's a very boutique, fancy item, but more power to them, I guess.
Well, as much as you like merch, Allison, I think this is probably the piece you've been waiting for to complete a set of some sort in your house.
To complete my collection of gray.
Can you imagine? Yeah, right. If you were that person who's been like thinking about this for like a year, and you're finally like this close to pulling the trigger, and then all of a sudden they jack up the price $12,000. Like, how mad must that? There's probably like 3 of people on the planet, and they're all so pissed off right now. Or maybe $12,000 is that.
What I worry about is, like, there'll be some Disney fan who is like to your point, thinking about this, but they don't really have the $50,000, but they're like figuring out a way to make it happen. So they're like, well, maybe if I take money out of my retirement account, you know, I can do this. And then it's like, you just have it, and what do you do with it? I don't know. I don't get these types of collectors things. I saw the price that some of the McDonald's toys were going for on eBay at like $25, $30, and I thought that was a lot.
Don't say those words in front of Rob.
I have a serious problem with that with those toys, and I have been haunting McDonald's trying to find them. I swear, grown man walking into McDonald's going, yes, could you tell me about your Happy Meal toys, please? So it's bad. It's really bad. And I get Bakugan toys and I'm like, this is garbage. And it's awful. They're making this too difficult in a pandemic to go chase down Happy Meal toys, and yet I'm still doing it. But I agree with you. And this is one of the things that, there's always been in the window on Main Street when you go into the Magic Kingdom. They've got the big crystal, castle there. And I always like to talk, show that off as this has got to be the most expensive thing in the park. This thing, good Lord, almost $50,000 for this. But it says 5 of these castles have sold this year. 5 of them. Tyler, how many did you buy?
I'm curious how many.
Oh, gee, thanks.
I'm just kidding. No, what did you say, Joe?
I don't even think we have them in Canada.
No, you don't.
No, we don't.
There are none. I'm just curious how many of these are have been made altogether. To me, if they said there are only 25 of these in existence or something, they should be saying that to jack up the value, because if you knew this is one of an incredibly short run of products, it might make that extra. And there are only 3 left of these for us to sell, or however many it is. I'm super curious about those numbers, and I think if they revealed those numbers, it would drive sales.
Oh, so if we talk about the Splash Mist shirts that are on Carousel Products, no, I won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right now.
Limited availability.
Huge overlay just then.
Exactly.
With music blaring that just interrupts the show, and it's right now on Carousel Products.
All of a sudden, the screen slides over and it's John. It's Tom dressed as John from Carousel. Well, now that you mentioned Carousel of Products, Tom.
No, he's at Spice Road Table. It's fine. So, this was Walt's birthday on December 5th. Happy birthday, Uncle Walt. One of the things that came out was one of the Imagineers who was working on the this great statue from. I'm hitting the wrong button here. This great statue that is supposed to be Dreamer's Point, that's supposed to be behind the Spaceship Earth. Now, this is one of those things where there's so many changes happening and so many things getting slashed off of the list for Epcot that, maybe people thought this might not still be happening, but Imagineer Zach Ridley released this out on Instagram this week to show that, yes, this is still a thing that's happening. I kind of love this. It's going to be a huge picture spot. I know that when they showed this at the at D23, it was almost like, wait, they're doing what now? So, I guess every park has to have a Walt statue, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, the way that you're laughing about this, Tyler, I'm feeling like you want to go have your picture taken with this right now.
I just think it's funny that Figment's over here in a $5 t-shirt, and then they're like, but don't worry, we're still putting Walt in a park that he never envisioned, pretending that he cares about seeing this future vision of this park that we completely ruined because he didn't want it to be a park at all. I'll go take a picture with Walt. We'll be I'll be already on the and I'm like, yeah, I thought it was going to be a city too. I don't know what we're looking at here.
It was so close. It was so close to his original vision. So close.
Do you? Okay, so legitimate question. I'm gonna derail this from being about the statue, which my only comment is it bothers me about the fact that it's so low to the ground. I don't know why that is. I feel like I don't know. It's weird. Do you really think that if Walt Disney did not die as early as he did, if he survived into, the 70s at least, that Epcot would have actually been built to his vision? If Walt was still around to build Epcot, would Epcot have actually been a city?
I think here the main concept was that Epcot Center was the center of Epcot, and then Magic Kingdom was over there, and then just around the rest of the Florida project would have been the city, essentially. I think parts of that would have been started, but I don't think the entire whole Tomorrowland vision he had of it, Tomorrowland the movie, which is essentially what he wanted that city to look like. I don't think the whole thing would have been built, but I think parts of it would have. I think they would have started the infrastructure for the mass transit system, and then they probably would have been like, oh, no one wants to live here. And then there probably would have been like, hey, let's build some more. No one can afford it. But I think they would have started, honestly, but I don't think they would have continued. And then I think some stuff would have been closed down. And then, like what's a Celebration was even like one of those kind of Epcot Center type ideas, or the city part of Epcot ideas. So, and then that didn't even go that well. So I think it would have started, and then it would have sort of petered out, and then it would have their vision of the future would no longer be the future, would be the present, and then we'd be like, wow, this looks very outdated.
Yeah, Allison?
That's all.
I think Walt Disney was a much better urban planner than the people that built Celebration. So I think, I don't know if it would have worked or whatever, but I just can imagine it working really well now with this increase in remote work and everyone working from home. I would love to move to a place like this. I'm fully remote, so like I could do this, and it would be great to do for 6 months or a year and do like a visiting time in this like cool city and come back. And this whole city is built around that kind of idea, and we're moving into a time where that's like even more much more feasible than it would have been in the 60s or 70s. So,
you know, the only thing that I would jump in and say, though, is that technology up until the point where Walt passed away was creeping up. In those years since then, technology has happened very quickly, that things have changed so much that I don't know that the original idea of beta testing things in this little society would actually work in 2020. Like, let's COVID aside, obviously, I think that the technology has ramped up so quickly that it would look a little bit outdated, and it would be hard to keep it up. But again, that's just my thought on it. And also, there'd be a lot less festivals and tastes of festivals. And really, isn't that what it's all about in the end? Tastes of festivals? Come on.
It couldn't be like the NBA bubble right now. I'm just anything for me to go outside. Really,
right.
Would be great.
Someone in the chat said that
really,
too.
Yeah. Less than about like the technology for sure. It would be more about like the experience of living in a place that's really well planned, and like certainly very few places in America have like amazing mass transit and things like that. So I'd love like a functional people mover. That's not just
and don't get me wrong.
Parks.
We've said all along, or at least I've said, that I feel like Disney does an excellent job of making sure people are following the rules better than any other place that I go. And so, yeah, I would probably be like, scratching at the door to get into a place like that. Like you said, like the NBA bubble, if that were the case. So I'd be happy for that to happen.
It's kind of starting to sound like Brave New World. Like it's getting a little too like
okay,
social engineering for as like independent as Americans like to think that they are. Like everybody follow the rules and everybody do what you're told. And
it almost feels like does it almost feel like the Capitol in Hunger Games? Is that what you're saying? It feels a little bit more like that.
Well, that's what I said. Brave New World. Like it's it's this sort of like socially constructed place where like babies are separated from their parents and raised in like little baby farms, and it's
make it so like Epcot would have been like we just saw like the happy exterior, and then it really Walt Disney was like Andrew Ryan in BioShock. He's like, everyone will be here and no one will leave and you will all follow.
Oh my god, rules. BioShock is an excellent analogy.
Oh my gosh.
Excellent.
Speaking of BioShock, we have the clown slide. I just want to move this along now. So the clown slide, the Keister Coaster, the clown is no more, and the slide is behind the scrim. And there is a tease about this being something where it says, "We look forward to Mickey and his pals clowning around at Luna Park Pool. Guests will enjoy the same great ride down the Keister Coaster slide with a brand new look." So, I mean, I don't know. Like, Kamila, I'm going to go to you on this one because I'm wondering, we definitely need to get away from this. This was a bad idea. This was a horrible idea. But what is this going to look like?
But see, I think this is also a really good example of Disney fans who I genuinely appreciate. They do not do well with change. Even change that's needed, which I think goodbye to that slide.
Come on, let's just take another look at that.
I will not miss it.
Oh.
But I just feel like it's such a good example of, I think sometimes we need to give Disney the space to let these, parks and resorts evolve, and let's see what they come up with, rather than, just always wanting things to stay the same or the way that you remember it last time you were at Stormalong Bay or wherever. So I welcome the change, whatever it may be. It's got to be better than that clown.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those situations where even we as like hardcore Disney like fanboys are like, yes, please change it. Like, I mean, are there two? Do you think there are people out there that are like, that was their childhood and they loved it? I don't know.
So I hate this because the reason I love it is first of all, this is just like heinous and disturbing, and we stayed there on my daughter's first trip, and like I had my 9-month-old like in like the little splash pad, and I'm looking around, I'm like, this is like a horror movie. It was like we're there early in the morning, we were the only ones there. Everything about it was like super creepy, and I was glad that she couldn't appreciate that about it. But the reason I sort of love this is just like, it's one of those, how did this get made, to reference another podcast, but like, how did this like become the thing? I understand the concept. Like, I grew up going to Coney Island. It's near where I grew up. And I understand trying to harness this like kind of weird carny type atmosphere, but it's the execution. Who allowed this? Who okayed this? And sure, I guess like shoehorning in Mickey and Friends, like I can understand some concern about that not being done well. Kind of like the Pixar Pier Fun Wheel or whatever they call it now. Mickey and Pals.
The pal around.
Pal around, yes, thank you. It is something like that, but look, my daughter will go crazy when she sees Mickey and Minnie, and it also can still fit with the Luna Park thing, because Luna Park is totally the kind of place that rampant infringement on like IP properties would be going on without any like check. So it could kind of be a play on that too, if you really wanted to still keep it in the boardwalk theme.
What scares me is it says Mickey and Minnie or Mickey and Pals will be clowning around. I don't want to see Mickey in clown makeup. Like, I hope that's not the thing. I mean, is that what we feel like, clowning around, or is that just because of the existing clown?
I genuinely hope not, but I will say, if they want to continue and update more in the boardwalk, welcome to do that.
Maybe a good topic for post-show. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is that there's this train at the Magic Kingdom. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it or not, because it's been gone for like 2 years. But they've brought back some track. They're laying down some new track at the Magic Kingdom. We spotted this week. And then at the same time, they've set up scrim around the front and the back of the train station. Look how pretty that is. Look at that scrim. Great. It's great timing for your holiday pictures that you want to take in front of the train station when you come in.
Seriously, why did they not wait until after Christmas? Like, it's only a couple of weeks. Why would they not wait until after Christmas to put that scrim up? It's so upsetting to see that. And just the parks are so crowded right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if they're really trying to fast track something, like to try to get it done. Because I agree. Otherwise, why would you do that?
Yeah. But like to get the train up and running again? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I mean, because I agree with Jill. It doesn't make sense that at the holiday season, which is, even in these times, a peak season for them, I don't get why they would do that at a place that people love to go and take pictures in front of.
Well, plus the fact that why would you choose now to drain the river and shut down more places that are people eaters, that when you have so much that's already closed? And then, it would be great if they could have just turned the train on and not done, and had that be another people eater. But clearly there's some work that needs to happen before that gets back up and running. So, Jill, I'm going to ask you if you had to choose between bringing the train back and bringing the riverboat back, I mean, which one's your favorite?
I mean, in terms of which I actually enjoy riding more, I love the riverboat. I rode the riverboat back in August, I want to say, when we were in the park, and it's so peaceful, it's so enjoyable. But in terms of like the visual of it and the aesthetic that it brings to the park, hands down the train. I mean, the train station there, when you like, I mean, it's the idea of like pulling up on the monorail from the TTC or wherever, or even like, you know, getting off the ferry boat and that being what you see, like, just, it hurts my heart to think. And especially now at Christmas time, like when I was there the other week, it was kind of like you just get so excited and you see it there, and then you walk underneath the train station and there's all of Christmas laid out on Main Street in front of you, and now it's like the first thing that greets you is that, and it's just, oh my God. Like that is like the visual equivalent of like Regis saying, I don't like this. Like it just
it's a January
hurts,
move. It's something you do in
It
January.
is.
Yeah.
2 weeks, barely 2 weeks before Christmas.
Well, you know what? At Disneyland, when they did Galaxy's Edge, they had to shorten the river, and so they actually there closed down the river boats and Tom Sawyer Island and the train, because the train had to be moved in, and all of that had to happen at once. I just don't get the refurbishment idea that you had to take the river boats down now and cover up this, like, the train station now. I know when they did all the refurbishment to Sleeping Beauty Castle in California, and Kamila, maybe you remember this, like it was all under scrim, and that's the heart of that park. And so
Yeah,
like,
that was rough.
Yeah,
That was rough.
How long was that?
I don't remember, but I mean, I don't remember. I won't even guess. But yeah, I just remember like you would go in because, to your point, that's the first thing you see, and you can see it from so far away. And yeah, it was just scrim all around. I mean, you know, I think most people just kind of ignored it. But yeah, that was.
Yeah,
it's not ideal. I mean, they have to get the work done, but.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, usually they do that off season, and it's just, I mean, with the capacity as low as it is, and then, you know, the one thing you're going for, like Jill was talking about, is the holidays and the decorations, and that's the first thing you see. That is, you got to get it done sometime, but couldn't you have waited till January? I don't know. So to wrap it up tonight, we're going to talk about maskless hillbillies, but not really.
No.
There's this great new thing where Disney has decided they're going to find a way to put a mask on you one way or another. And you got this new thing where the ride photo, the on-ride photo, if you are not wearing a mask, they will put one on your face for you. And I don't know if you can see this lady in the back, but it's like, Tyler, it's like a bit we've done for News Tonight and trying to like paste this onto somebody. I admire the I admire the technology, but does this not seem a little ridiculous, Tyler?
I think it's perfect. Honestly, if you're not going to wear a mask, and then people, like, they don't want people, I mean, they especially don't want celebrities taking photos without their masks on and being
Jason
all over
Aldean.
social media. Look, what was that?
Nothing. I'm just a little cough. It's fine.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell if that was a real cough or not. They don't want celebrities or people taking their masks off and then sharing photos and then basically saying like, oh, look, it was okay, I took my mask off, or no one stopped me, so you can do it. So the idea of like, hey, if you're going to be here and you're going to take your mask off, we're going to make it look like you at least followed the rules, so you couldn't say that you didn't follow the rules. And yeah, we were talking about in like the chat a bit, just that like it would encourage other people not to see it and then be like, oh, I guess I can take mine off because this person in their photo that I'm looking at the end of the ride also had it off. Who was saying that before? Jill?
Jill's muted.
Jill's muted.
Jill, you're muted.
Does she know she can hear us?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Mute fail at the end. America is the country of, well, hey, look, that guy's doing it, so it must be okay that I do it too. Like literally, like anytime you want an excuse for anything, it's like, well, he did it, so I should be able to do it too. You know, like we're so like childish about it sometimes. And I love this. I think this is like a big like middle finger to a lot of people that cracks me up, because there are so many people that are trying and doing the whole drink move where I'm walking around with a soda, so it's okay that I have my mask down. Like, there are so many people that look for every single way to bend this loophole. And I love that Disney's like, and I mean, what can Disney do when you're on the ride, when the ride's in motion and you take your mask down? There's nothing Disney can do short of like stopping the entire ride, I guess. That it's just, so I mean, props to them for getting people to actually like, follow the rules. And to your point, Tyler, like, I think it sets a really bad example, and it also kind of exposes Disney to a lot of bad PR, because these photos can get out there on the internet or whatever, and people can be like, oh, people go to Disney and they don't follow the rules. I mean, that's like part of why Disneyland's not open right now. You know what I mean? So like, Disney doing what they can to like get rid of this image that people are in their parks without masks on, like, they should be doing that. It's good for their business. And I think it's making people follow the rules, however they, even digitally, if they have to.
KJack
It's a
248.
win-win.
Wait, let me jump in real quick, Allison, and I'll kick it to you. Is KJack 248 in Slack had a great, in the chat, had a great idea. Instead of putting masks on them, that they should put this over their faces. That would stop all of that from happening. But
Charlene said put a big red X over their face. I feel like this is a new snipe bit. Like, what else can they digitally put over your face in a ride photo?
Why did you have to say that out loud, Tyler? Why? Allison, you were going to say something, sorry?
Oh man, that joke is just too good. It's hard to follow it up. But no, I'm just going to say that it is, this is one of those rare instances where it's like a real win-win for like those guests that are following the rules, but also for Disney, because now those guests that are following the rules get their ride photos that they might want, and then Disney also gets the money for those ride photos for those people that don't have some kind of package, or it doesn't come with their annual pass, to have access to those photos are pretty expensive if you don't have that, and people do buy them. And so I'm sure Disney was anxious to get that revenue back and make up for it. So if they just have to do a little editing and put kind of facetious looking masks over other people's faces, like,
I didn't even think about
the
that.
flip side of that is,
money.
there's already like an issue with annual pass holders kind of like feeling like there's breach of contract here with Disney, that what they paid for in their annual pass, they are not being given by Disney right now. And so if you add on top of that, oh, well, now you also don't get your photo pass photos if somebody in your ride vehicle didn't have a mask on. Like, that's one more thing that pass holders are saying, like, this is kind of breach of contract of what I spent a lot of money for an annual pass for. So this is a good way for them to get around that too.
Yeah. Well, we can talk more about that in the chat, and you can be in the chat if you are a WIGS member. And Jill, I always like to throw this to you about the WIGS. You want to talk a little bit about our WIGS members?
I love talking about our WIGS members. It's my favorite thing that I get to talk about on ParksCenter every week. WIGS is our WDWNT Interglobe Society. It is our membership group where you get access to special exclusive content simply for being a member. Membership starts at $2 on up, and you get all kinds of great perks, including access to post shows. Like, we're about to have a post show for ParksCenter that you get access to as a WIGS member. You get access to special shows like detailed and ride rehab watches with our very own Tyler. You get discounts. You get discounts on live events when we hopefully will be able to have them again, maybe by the 50th, fingers crossed, and all kinds of other great stuff. We have a Discord channel that is WIGS and staff only, so you get to talk to other WIGS and talk to staff members. A lot of great perks. Go to patreon.com/WDWNT.
And we joked a little bit about Carousel products, but I do want to mention you can get a ParksCenter sticker on Carousel products if you are a fan of the show, and we hope you are if you're watching tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are a WIGS member, we will see you in the post show. Thanks to everybody on the panel, and we will see you guys next week. It's our last show of 2020, so buckle up. Be here. Woo! Thanks a lot.
Bye. Learn more content. Do it. Lil Ben.
Lil Ben is cleaning the tubes.
I don't like that term.
sleeping with two.
Why?
Poopy.